Welcome. This is MENTA. Today I want to talk to you about the loudest thing in the world: silence. Have you ever stepped into an elevator with a stranger? Think about those few seconds of travel. How many times did you stare at the floor numbers, clear your throat, or pull out your phone to check a notification that didn't even exist, just to escape the heavy silence in that small cabin? Or think about that moment when a conversation with a friend suddenly hits a wall, that peculiar restlessness rising within you, your mind scrambling, thinking, should I say something? Why do we feel as though we are obligated to fill that void? Why does silence feel like a failure or a deficiency? Silence is not an empty void where nothing exists. On the contrary, it is a mirror where everything is revealed. What we truly fear is not the silence itself, but what we see in that mirror. In the modern world, we have become a generation conditioned to live with background noise. People who turn on the TV the moment they enter their homes, those who reach for their headphones while walking alone, or those who get lost in the endless scroll of a phone until they fall asleep. We don't actually do these things to listen to the music, watch the video, or read the news. We do them to avoid being caught by silence. Because when the external noises stop, the internal voices begin to shout. In silence, those deferred decisions, the fears we are afraid to face, and that inner voice asking, "What am I doing?" start knocking on the door. The real reason we are uncomfortable with silence is that we are not yet ready for the jarring honesty of being alone with ourselves. Silence in social settings tells a different story. When a sudden hush falls over a table, the reason we try to fill that gap clumsily is that we feel vulnerable in that stillness. To be silent is to lower our masks. Words are our armor. Through them, we can portray ourselves differently than we are, hiding our true feelings behind small talk. When the words end, only our existence remains, and we fear that our existence alone won't be enough, that we will be found boring or inadequate in that stillness. Yet the deepest bonds begin where words end. Think of that person you can sit with for hours without saying a word, yet still feel perfectly at peace. That silence is the purest form of love, because there is nothing to prove or no void that needs filling. Our minds perceive silence as a threat because silence is static. We, however, have been programmed to constantly move, produce, and consume. We fall into the illusion that when we aren't doing anything, when we're just still, we're falling behind in life. We categorize silence as wasted time. Yet silence is the breathing room for the mind. It's like those tiny pauses in a piece of music. If it weren't for those rests, the music would turn into a never-ending wall of noise. The meaning of life is not found in the loud notes, but in those small, silent spaces between them. Have you noticed that we are even consuming silence now? We watch videos about silence. We seek guided silences on meditation apps. We've turned staying silent into a task to be achieved. But true silence is that moment when you're not trying to achieve anything at all. It's the moment you just sit, not trying to fix anything, just breathing and letting the external sounds and the internal chaos simply pass through. To be uncomfortable with silence is to surrender to the speed of life. To begin to love silence is to take ownership of your own story. Today, let's try a small experiment at MENTA. After you close this video, don't immediately move to the next one or pick up your phone. Just 3 minutes. Look out the window, watch your hands, or simply follow a shadow on the wall. Observe that restlessness inside you crying out, "Come on, do something," as if it were a child. Tell it, "I know you're here, but right now we're just being quiet." In that noisy silence, you will realize how much is actually being told. Perhaps that voice you've been running from for so long actually has something beautiful to tell you. Do not fear silence. Silence is not a hole, it is a place of completion. The only way to truly hear yourself is to turn down the volume of the world for a while. Wash away the fatigue of words with the freshness of stillness. Thank you for joining us. Today at MENTA, we walked through the loudest of silences. If this quiet journey felt good to you, you can stay with us and continue to share this tranquility. Goodbye.